Hey everyone, welcome back to a new quick episode of Dissecting jQuery, where in this lesson we will discuss the jQuery.grep method. So of course the first step is to view the jQuery source. We can go to code.jquery.com/jQueryLatest. So anytime, or at least most of the time, when you want to access a specific method, search for the method name followed by colon. And there we go, grep. Okay, so what grep allows us to do is it allows you to remove items from an array. So it's very helpful. You can imagine doing this maybe, I don't know, what if you had an array of tweets and you wanted to remove any tweets that contained foul language from the array? You could use jQuery.grep to do that. In this case, we're going to build something very simple, just a proof of concept. So first, let's go into our code editor. And within script tags, we'll first begin by creating an array. So let's just do something like a list of words. Dog, cat, cauldron, kids, cake. Something like that. And what we want to do here is filter through these and only return the items in the array that begin with C, say. Okay, so we can do that by saying array equals jQuery.grep. Now, what does jQuery.grep accept? Okay, let's go into Firefox and find out. It accepts three parameters. The first one is the element. So the first one is the array. Next it wants a callback, and this is the function that will determine whether or not to keep the current item in the array. So we'll do that right now, function. But does this function accept any parameters that we can use? Yes, if you scroll down right here, callback, this function right here is then represented by this callback variable. And this is where we call it, and you can see we pass two parameters to it. So the first one, elemsI, this is the current value of the item. So in our case, for the first iteration, elemsI would be equal to dog. So we pass the value, and then next we pass the iterator, and this is just the index, so we can accept those. And we'll type val and index to keep it simple. Okay, so next we need to return a Boolean. So how do we test to see if the items in the array begin with C? Very simple. We'll just do something like the value and check to see if the index of C occurs at the first position. Very simple. So we can save that. And next, let's do a console.log of array to see what we have. Okay, and we get cat, cauldron, and cake. So here's one cool thing though, is if we return, it also accepts a third parameter, inv, and this stands for inverted. So if we change this, for example, let's do true. Now it returns, it inverts it. So in this case, return value.index of C, it's going to return anything that does not begin with C. Okay. If we instead change it to false, it's going to return, which is used by default, it's going to return the items that match that. So let's go through this code and specifically figure out what's going on under the hood. Okay, you call grep. First it creates an empty array called ret, and we eventually return that array. Okay. Next, we filter through the array. So we create a for statement, var I equals 0, and the length equals the elems.length. Remember, the array we created right here is represented by elems. So we get the length, and we create a for statement. Okay. Now, for each iteration, we do an if statement, and we test. So first, it seems confusing because lots of not invert does not equal not callback. Okay. So let's take this piece by piece. First, we call our callback method. So let's do it for our example. All right, we call the callback method, which is right here. And we return for the very first one, does dog.index of C equals 0? No, it does not. So it's going to return false. So this right here equals false. But we're negating that. So that becomes not false or true. So we're saying does not invert not equal true. And you know what I'm going to do just for now so it's not too confusing. Let's get rid of that. So by default, they don't specify what the inv variable equals. So by default, that's going to be false. So not false, true. Does true not equal true? No, it does equal true, in which case the item is not added. Hopefully that makes sense. I know that's confusing. Does true not equal true? Is it true that true does not equal true? No, it's not true. And in that case, this never runs. Okay? So now we go to the next one, and cat. Okay, so we know cat does begin with C, so it returns true. So this right here equals true. And then we negate that, false. So, does true not equal false? Yes, that is true. In that case, do this. And what we do is we create, remember, jQuery.grep creates a new array. So we have our array, and we push that new item to the array. And then we just repeat this for as many items as you have in the array. So what happens now is when you add the invert, in this case true, that becomes the opposite, which returns the opposite. Very confusing, isn't it? Just know when you add true, that's going to return everything. It negates this, anything that does not begin with C. So let's test that out one last time to show you. And now you see anything else. So if we were to come back, and we were to do another one like Coke, children, fat. Now you can see it adds that. But if we keep it with false, like it is by default, it's only going to return those. Okay, so that's what we wanted to go over today. Hopefully you have a better understanding of how grep works. Just know, it creates a new array, it filters through it, and it checks to see whether what you have here passes. And if it does, it goes ahead and pushes that to the new array, and it returns that array. Okay, for more tips and tutorials, always visit net.tutsplus.com. Thanks guys, bye.